lab. And honestly, I'm not quite sure what he's doing tonight because who cares? It'll be funny, right? That's all good. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, David McKay.
Hey everybody, hey. I think I'm gonna grab this microphone if that's okay. Boy, I'm too tall for this stage. This is unearned height, right? This is the height of privilege, Yeah. Actually, so I just read a book all about stand-up and how to do stand-up. And they said, well, the first thing you do is just say something that relates to your audience, something that everyone can kind of identify with and agree with, that's like not controversial. So, I hate all of mankind. Oh shoot, this is an audience of you. No, I mean honestly though, not like humanity. I don't, mankind as in like mankind, right? Like all men. Well, and when I say that, I don't mean like everyone with a penis, right? Like not necessarily. Like the whole white male, like cis, like heteronormative, right? All that, right? Patriarchy, right? That's what I'm looking for. Patriarchy. Like I hate that. I hate that. And I know you're looking at me and you're saying to yourself, but why? You're Adolf Hitler's wet dream. Why would you? What possible quandary would you have? Well, because I've read a lot, so I know that it sucks, right? I know that it's like places where there's more equality or more women in charge. That just simply means, okay, more social services and more, health and education and all these good things, less war. I guess because I'm overeducated. And I think, again, yeah, I know that I'm, I look like someone who has a lot of privilege, and I do, but at least I can admit it, what would it be like if other people, what if like Jeffrey Dahmer was like, I should no longer be in charge of the company picnic because what if he could fess up? Like, what if people could just face that part of themselves? I know you look at me and you think, okay, you hate all mankind, you hate all white, straight guys. Yeah, you hate yourself, is that what you're saying? Well, yeah. I mean, kinda. Not more than like everybody else. Like everyone there kind of hates themselves a little bit. But what if, again, Ted Kaczynski, right? Where he was like, you know what, I should be in charge of the shacks that are out in the woods, but less so, building security. That's not my area, all right? God, Bomber, Ted Kaczynski? All right. Or what if, like, any Trump appointee said, this thing that I've been appointed to is the opposite of what I know? What if they could just face that? Like I said, though, like, okay, so the tough thing is, like, ever since the election especially, if I'm walking down the street and, like, I go by someone who's a minority or something, like they look at me like I'm gonna like shout at them or something. And I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I'm sorry, I wanna just walk the streets apologizing. And one of the worst things is, like the guys, the dude bros, like the guys that I really just like don't wanna be near, they think I'm one of them. Right? And so they'll wanna chat me up. I recently switched clubs to the YWCA, which men could go to, right? That's cool. Because there was just too much of this locker room talk, right? People talk about locker room talk a lot, especially after the last election. And they'll want to chat me up, like, oh, dude, bro. Oh, yeah, you should be a men's rights activist, man. Yeah, that's how you get the ladies, yeah. I know, that's the thing, right? And that's, so it sounds crazy, but they, that whole movement came out of the pickup artist community, right? It's all these guys who like bought all this material, like all these books and stuff about how to pick up women. And they bought into it, right? And what they do is, they create all these terms, this whole language, and that's their way of like creating reality, right? Is by inventing these new terms and stuff. And it's the process in cultural studies is called hailing. right? It's when, like, if you're walking down the street and someone shouts out, hey, asshole, and you, like, turn around, that's your acknowledging that you're an asshole, right? That's your, present, yes, which I totally would. I would, someone's like, hey, asshole, I'd be like, yeah, yes, citizen, what can the asshole community do for you? I'm their representative in this sector. Yes. And that's the process of, like I said, hailing, right? It's so if they're using terms, so like they have all this, the whole language, like betas and alphas, right? They're like, oh man, yeah, you want the chicks, man? You gotta be an alpha, not a beta. Yeah, alphas are dominant, betas are submissive. You do not want that. It's like, oh, what do you do? Well, you neg them, you insult women. Yeah, gotta keep them in their place. And you're like, okay. You insult women? Well, oh yeah, you slut shame them. Yeah, shame them for getting around. It's like, okay, and that's getting you a lot of sex, is what you're saying? Not at all. No, they hate it. They hate me. And it's like, well, there's things you can work on, right? Like your grooming, I don't know, your appearance. Can you work on conversational skills? But they like buy into this, right? It's like, no, it's the woman. It's their problem, not mine. It's like it's their problem that they're not interested in you. If you jump in a lake and you don't know how to swim, it's not water's fault that you drown, right? Water has its own intrinsic properties to it that, you know what I mean? You're like, fucking water. What do you do, man? Oh, water's just out to get me. It's not how it works. And what are these, so a bunch of these, like I said, they create a language, right? And if they create a language and people buy into it, then that's their way of defining reality and their hope. So like some of these terms, alpha, beta, a cuck, right? This is a man who gets pleasure from his woman getting pleasure from other men. And they'll use the term a beta cuck, oh, don't be a beta cuck, man. Don't be a wimpy loser, be an alpha. It's like, okay, so beta cucks are bad. Are they having more than zero sex though? Like, are they getting more sex than you guys? Yeah, they're getting, but I don't like them. It's like, well, but a beta cuck, like the word itself, beta cuck, right? It's redundant. It's the word twice, right? Beta. There's no alpha cucks, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. And that's if you're just using it twice for mocking, you're just being a beta cuck tease, right? You're just like, yeah, beta cuck. Like I said, there's no alpha cuck, so it doesn't make any sense. By their own rules, right, of this kind of reality they're trying to create. What are some other words? In like a beta cuck, I know it sounds like I'm saying beta cock. I think that's a different thing. That would be like a secondary cock, like if you in an emergency, if you're just like, oh, this one's got a flat. If it's flat, I gotta get the other one out of the back. Get out of the trunk. I keep it in the trunk. It's not a gay thing. It's just the backup. It's a spare. There, that one's inflated. It's fine. And so another term is, that's the funny thing is that they're making these terms a cuckservative, right? That's apparently a conservative who's willing to work with Democrats, which again is a thing that doesn't exist. So why is there a name for it? It's like, well, that's not a thing. Like, yeah, don't be a cuckservative, man. Like, well, what are some other terms that they have actually? Oh man. Oh, yeah. So, pickup community, right? And so they're reading all this stuff about, oh, I'm gonna pick up the ladies, I'm gonna score, man. But then they all don't, right? And they come up with these terms, an incel. Yeah. That means an involuntary celibate. These are the terms they use. They're defining themselves by terms, and notice that they're all about women, right? All these terms and definitions are their relation to women that doesn't exist, they don't have. An incel is an involuntary celibate, right? And they're like, oh yeah, you should join the men's rights movement, man. Oh yeah, get all the ladies. Yeah. It's like, and then become an involuntary celibate. It's like, I don't need help being celibate. Like that's, the last of the advice that I would need. And then there's a volcel, which is a voluntary celibate. That's like the sour grapes. That's when they try to own it. They're like, oh man, no, I think they all want me, like probably. But no, I'm not. That's how they get their power. Yeah, they get power of you if you have sex with them. Maybe, probably. I wouldn't really know. Very unsuccessful, but in theory. And like I said, these guys, I switched clubs because of locker room talk, right? Like, that's a real thing. These guys would be all, they'll be homophobic, right? They'll be like, oh man, if a guy was ever checking me out in here, oh, I don't know what I would do, man. And I'm just like, you wish, right? It's always the guys who's the last person anyone would check out of either gender, who's assuming like everyone is looking at you. I mean, they'd be so fucking complimented if they thought anyone was looking at them. They'd be like, "How dare you? How dare you? Oh, don't objectify me. Oh my goodness. I mean, how could you not be complimented, right? If someone looks at you and they're like, "Oh my." You're like, oh, I don't go that way, not at all. I think a big part of it is, in this language out there, they're kind of bearing their own insecurities, right? Their own problems. And maybe I'm just like, I'm okay with my own sexuality, and that's why I don't have a problem. And I say this, but I'm very boring, right? I'm just straight. I'm not even interesting enough to be bi, right? Like, I'm the boring person at the party. Well, that's how I feel. I was at a party recently. My girlfriend and I were propositioned by a guy. He's like, hey, we should have a threesome. Come on, it'd be really fun. And I was like, oh man, it sounds like a lot of work. I imagine a threesome, I'd be using both my hands and my feet somehow. I would just be, okay, I don't know what a threesome is like. I just imagine it's like spinning plates, it's a complex thing, right? I don't know. Like I said, I'm boring, and so I was just like, I'm tired. How about we all just go home to our own beds and go to sleep, and that sounds just great. And I mean, it's sad because I'm sure we all ended up doing the same thing. We all just went home to our own beds and ended up masturbating to Facebook pictures of me, Yeah, man, locker room talk. It's so funny because I grew up watching science fiction where locker rooms were just all gender, right? Like Starship Troopers or RoboCop, but just everyone, because it's just who cares, right? Everyone's in the locker room, right? But now you'll see things I've been to places where you'll have two porta potties right next to each other, and one will be men and one will be women, and it's they're identical. What's the point? All that means is that one has a really long line next to it, right? Well, porta potties are horrible, aren't they? Man, I had a horrible experience at a porta potty last summer. Well, I mean, they're all horrible experiences at porta potties, right? I know. But this was a particularly bad one. This is at a little thing maybe someone has heard of, Renaissance Festival, right? They have all these porta potties, and I went to one, and I mean. First of all, you ever notice you're in a bathroom and there are people who will pull out the door and they won't stop? They just can't fathom there'd be someone in there before them. It's yeah, well, there's a locking mechanism, and you're in porta potties, it's there's kind of working. You ever make a mistake of look inside the porta potty? It's like a horror. It's like a whale's butthole. It's just what is down there? There's lost civilizations and the Ark of the Covenant and missing children from the 80s and just, man, oh man. So anyway, when I say I had a particularly bad experience, so I was in a porta potty, and this is at Renaissance Festival, and I sat down and did my business before I checked in to make sure that there was toilet paper, right? I didn't think about it, and I sat down, and then there was half a sheet. So I had this brilliant idea. There's this big thing of hand sanitizer. See, now some of you don't know that hand sanitizer has a large percentage of alcohol in it, which I wasn't thinking of. I had a little much to drink. So I was like, you know what, I could take a half a sheet of toilet paper and just a whole bunch of this hand sanitizer, and that'll work, right? That'll be just as good, maybe. So I do that, and then just it's every pain that I thought never knew could be possible, right? Because all this alcohol on me, and I was just like, it was a fight or flight response. I was like, oh my God, I gotta wipe with something. And I was, looking around for trash. Like if there would have been a turkey drumstick or something, I would have been like the asshole MacGyver. All of a sudden, I'm like, I gotta figure out. But there's nothing. And so I did what some people know, like you get your underwear. It's like, oh, get these off. And I was in a costume, and it was just like, oh man. So I just used my underwear and threw it away. Which is all that space in there. It's not like it's a toilet, right? Where it's like, well, it's gonna jam up the works. And I told this story to a friend of mine, and she pointed out that she had been camping, and for some reason her boyfriend mistakenly used a bunch of hand sanitizer and thought it was lube. Yeah, which is a worse scenario, if you can imagine. Fortunately, they were by a lake because it's Minnesota, right? So they ran out into the lake. Otherwise, I don't know what you would do. Like, you'd scrounge for like, oh, do we have any food that's liquidy? Like, you'd just be smashing a whole bunch of food on your genitals, which kind of sounds like a bucket list kind of thing, come to think of it. All right, well, that's my time. Thanks for being a great audience, everybody.
Holy shit, give it up for David McKay. God damn.